shows him drawing a gun on a group of teens on Hilton Head Island twice. Now the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division is investigating. ABC's Perry Russell has the latest.
A South Carolina deputy is suspended without pay after this video shows him drawing a gun on a group of teenagers on Hilton Head Island. It's not clear how the altercation started. The deputy can be seen approaching with his gun drawn. The deputy then takes a bag from one of the boys. The scuffle ensues. The deputy then draws his gun again. Terrified teens crying out. The deputy's name has not been released. The local sheriff's office says he was suspended without pay and with the leak of his badge and gun. Local officials now investigating to determine if criminal charges should be filed. Neighbors say the community has had a persistent issue of teenagers entering the neighborhood causing trouble. One person saying one of the teenagers had flashed a gun at a neighbor, but another resident saying there's nothing the boys could have done to warrant that deputy's reaction. The families of the teens are bound to press charges against the deputy.
Thank you. And the WNBA finals are set as the league's top players spar with the commissioner. Las Vegas will play security to the title. Last in the league's commissioner seat.
across from Kathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $60 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them.
The commissioner responding in a statement, writing, quote, I am disheartened by how Nafisa characterized our conversations and league leadership, but even when our perspectives differ, my commitment to the players and to this work will not waver. Four-time MVP Asia Wilson taking direct aim at the commissioner after her team's win.
I had an opportunity to listen to Fee, and I just want to say I was honestly disgusted by the comments that Kathy made. But at the same time, I'm very appreciative that we have people like Fee in our committee of our Players Association representing us, because that's what we're going to have to continue to make the push to stand on what we believe in.
Cheryl Reed and the rest of her staff streaking onto the floor.
The Lynx' head coach
episode, and earlier today she told GMA she was in complete shock when it happened, and that the first thing she plans to do with her winnings is pay off her student loans. Hopefully you'll have some left over for fun after that, Christina. Huge congratulations. And now it's time for the tea, where we break down some of the buzzy stories people are talking about, and our friend Will Gans is here to help us out. Will, spill that tea.
The biggest winner in tea history. That's me. In the 50 years of the tea, Christina, you've got nothing on what we've got today in the tea. We do begin, though, with Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban splitting after 20 years together. The Oscar-winning actress filing for divorce from the Grammy-winning country star after 19 years of marriage and 20 years together, citing irreconcilable differences. Neither half of the Aussie power couple has spoken out about the split, but we're told that it was his decision, that she's been trying to save the marriage. The couple has been married since 2006. They share 2 teenagers together. Keith is currently on tour. We'll see if he acknowledges the split at all at his next show tomorrow night in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's sad.
It is sad. It's also like fans are sort of I mean, in Hollywood years, a 20-year relationship, 19 years of marriage is like 100 years of, you know, like a normal relationship. Like it felt like it was endgame, but wishing that family the very best. From a divorce, let's move on to a wedding. Selena Gomez's wedding, to be specific. She's sharing first looks at her reception dress. The only murders in the building star, sharing some new photos from her wedding day with Benny Blanco. Selena wore not 1, not 2, but 3 Ralph Lauren gowns throughout the evening. Yes. And if you think that's impressive, how about this guest list? For the wedding, Steve Martin, Martin Short, Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, SZA, Camila Cabello, Paris Hilton, Paul Rudd, and Zoe Saldana, to name a few. Selena and Benny tied the knot on Saturday in Santa Barbara, California. I mean, every look better than the last.
That's the thing. They all look good. I can understand why you would say, I can't pick. I'll just wear all 3.
Exactly. And I loved the hairstyling. She just looked fabulous. Very excited for that couple. All right, now to the Devil Wears Prada. And she famously does wear Prada, but that doesn't mean she can't keep her eye on the other runways. Over the weekend, Meryl Streep and Stanley Tucci sat front row at the Dolce & Gabbana show during Milan Fashion Week, and they were fully in character as Miranda Priestley and Nigel. Vogue, writing on Instagram, the legendary editor of Runway magazine, has not been seen at the shows in nearly 20 years, but rumor has it she is cooking up a major plot twist for the globally known Bible of fashion. And Miranda met her real-life counterpart, chatting and hanging out with Anna Wintour after the show. Filming for The Devil Wears Prada has mostly been centered here in New York City. Fans are loving seeing the cast in these new locations. Devil Wears Prada 2, still filming, will hit theaters next May.
I love the sunglasses and all, fully in character.
So incredible. And her and Anna together, like, I mean, it's just so iconic. All right, finally, we're only a couple weeks out from the Summer I Turned Pretty finale. And yes, this next story contains spoilers. So if you haven't seen that finale yet, this is the official spoiler warning. Now, the only thing more shocking than Belly's final choice in the show might be Jennifer Lawrence's take on all of it. Look at what the Oscar winner had to say in an interview with Movie.
I've been ordered by all of my friends to not reveal this. I'm Team Jeremiah. I am. Summer I Turned Pretty. I think that Conrad is toxic. Like, he kind of liked her, then he didn't, like, left her hanging. And then for him to confess his love to her the night before her wedding is sick.
I know, I keep intending to watch the show.
I'm Team Jeremiah. Rake me over the coals.
By the way, the internet has been raking her over the coals for this opinion, and I'm not entirely sure, but Robert Pattinson might be having Team Edward and Team Jacob Twilight flashbacks during this conversation, as you know, Jennifer Lawrence is now talking about the new thing. But he said he intends to watch the show. I would recommend it, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was following in the moment.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was either, but he was a good sport, as you know, all of you are, as we dive into this for the 97,000th time of The Summer I Turned Pretty, but it's important stuff.
Oh, yeah, breaking news. Well, Gans, thank you, friend.
Cheers, Diane.
Cheers to you, and thanks to you for watching. I'm Diane Macedo. The news never stops, and neither do we. We have a lot more news right after the break. Stay with us.
With Thrivent, your financial journey isn't a solo mission. Your money is a tool to support the people, causes, and community you love. Because sometimes all you need to make a difference is someone to help you make it happen. Thrivent, where money means more.
Watching America's #1 streaming news, reporting and breaking new exclusives. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
Hi, I'm Diane Macedo. We have breaking news. The government shutdown is set to go on after the Senate failed to pass 2 bills to fund the government. Let's bring in ABC's Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill for more. Jay, first the Democrat bill failed, now the Republican bill failed. So where do they go from here?
Yeah, they didn't get the number of Democratic defections needed. Republicans didn't to pass this legislation that would have ended the government shutdown. This was, remember, a temporary funding measure that would have funded the government for 7 weeks. It's the exact same measure that the House of Representatives passed some weeks back, that the Senate failed on last night, although there were 3 Democratic defections when the Senate took this up last night. Those 3 voted for it again today. They voted yes with the bulk of Senate Republicans to pass this legislation, but they didn't get any more additional Democrats. We did see this kind of, not fiery, but noticeable gaggle, bipartisan gaggle of Senate Democrats and Republicans on the floor. We're not sure what they were talking about, but there were a few of the so-called Democratic swing votes that we've been watching in that group. And so it's unclear if there are any last-minute negotiations being done here. But this vote fails, and the government shutdown will go on. Procedurally, it doesn't look like John Thune, the top Republican in the Senate, unless he does a kind of a last-minute procedural maneuver, can bring this vote up again today. And so the Senate is out tomorrow for the Yom Kippur Jewish holiday. They are back on Friday, and so the earliest you could see, as of right now, another vote to end this government shutdown will be Friday. It remains to be seen if there are more Senate Democratic defections at this hour. Right now, there are only those 3. But as the shutdown goes on, the impacts of the shutdown become more pronounced, and that could up the pressure on Senate Democrats. Right now, in large part in lockstep, Senate Democrats have said they're holding back their votes. They're not going to vote for this government funding mechanism unless they get a rollback of Medicaid cuts that were in that one big, beautiful bill, President Trump's signature legislation that passed some months back, and an extension of Obamacare tax credits that are set to expire at the end of this year. And if they do expire come January 2026, would cause premiums for millions of Americans to skyrocket. Democrats believe they have the political momentum. They believe now is their moment to hold firm, to try to get these concessions out of President Trump and out of congressional Republicans. But we already saw some cracks, right? We saw those 3 Democrats voting with Republicans both today and last night to end this government shutdown. And so as this progresses, one thing to watch for, Diane, is do any other Senate Democrats join them?
Jay, is there any room for compromise here? Can they reach any kind of middle ground on these sticking points?
They could get some kind of an agreement, not down in writing on paper, but some kind of an agreement from Republican leadership to take up this Obamacare issue. We've heard from Democrats who say that may be enough to get some on board. They would need 8 Democrats in total voting to avert a shutdown, so plus those 3, 5 more. But it's unclear if that's going to be enough, that kind of verbal agreement. Anything else that's down on paper, down in legislation, would cause the government shutdown to go longer, because even if legislation was rewritten in the Senate that included these demands from Democrats, or some version of these demands from Democrats, it would have to go back to the House, and the House right now is out for the rest of the week. That was a maneuver on the part of House Speaker Mike Johnson to send his members home to try to jam the Senate and force them to take up the bill that the House sent them.
All right, Jay O'Brien for us on Capitol Hill. Jay, thank you. And Elizabeth Chelsea has more on what this shutdown means for families. Hi, Elizabeth. What are we preparing for here?
So the big picture is this does inject a lot of uncertainty into the household finances for a lot of families. And when you think about it, for the bigger economy, too. So when we're looking at immediate impacts, one thing we could see starting today is up to 750,000 federal workers furloughed. What that means is that they are placed on leave, they're not working, and they're not paid. They will get paid retroactively once this shutdown ends, but in the meantime, they are furloughed. There are also then tens of thousands of other workers workers who are basically deemed essential, so think of TSA agents, air traffic controllers, border patrol agents, they will keep working, but also with no paychecks. Then there are those 2 million U.S. troops who are on the military member pay. Typically, they are paid on the 1st and 15th of the month. Those paychecks for the 1st already went out, so those paychecks did come out today. So really now we're talking about the 15th being at risk for them. And of course, keep in mind that members of Congress are all paid during this time. Then just when you're kind of looking ahead, what does this look like going forward? There are a couple of other factors for families. National parks, as of now, are open, but you could see some staffing shortages there. We could also see the Smithsonian open until October 6th, but possible after that there could be lapse in funding. And then this WIC program, that gives nutrition assistance to a lot of 7 million moms and kids. That funding could run dry in 1 week. So as this goes on, you could start to see some bigger impacts too.
And where do you not see the impacts here? What's not going to be affected?
Important to tell people, Social Security checks still set to go out. That funding is mandatory, so those payments should still be going out on time. Student loans will still be going on time. And the U.S. Postal Service, that gets its funding separately, that'll still be running. So a lot of those essential services do keep going, but even at some of those agencies, there are furloughs. We're going to be really closely watching is, as this goes on, do you see some other side effects to some of their, not as mandatory of services? The other thing, just to keep in mind for the bigger economy is that in the past, the economy has bounced back as the government's reopened, back to work. But this does have an effect on the sentiment from businesses. Are they more worried about hiring? Are consumers a little more reluctant to spend? The longest shutdown we've ever had was back in 2018. It was under President Trump, 35 days. The economic cost to GDP for that was about $11 billion.
Wow. All right, Elizabeth Chelsea, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
We have breaking news. The Supreme Court is allowing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook to stay on the central bank board in 2026. The justices did not explain their decision, and there were no noted dissents. Trump moved to fire Cook in August, citing allegations of mortgage fraud that predate her appointment at the Fed. Cook has denied any wrongdoing. Now the Supreme Court justices say they'll take up the president's appeal seeking to remove her during a January hearing. Senior Washington reporter